Joyride, 1957, a novel of intrigue by J.P. Wasmiller. Chapter 5. James stepped through the opening left by the massive doors and moved into a massive room. The view nearly took all the oxygen out of his lungs. The rays of light drew his gaze upward. The vision before him allowed the remaining oxygen to escape from his lungs, and he staggered but did not fall. Took a couple of deep breaths, regained his balance, and looked skyward again. This action brought silent winces as the deep breaths twisted his fractured right ribs. However, he managed to see a massive dome, replete with paintings and intricate designs. He pulled his Leica 3 camera from his raincoat and began shooting pictures. He aimed his camera up at the dome and got a good photo of the very peak of the Capitol dome, some 250 feet above him. He saw the 4 paintings of women spiral around the cupola. Each was titled Education, Justitia, Litera, and Camericum. Below these, the dome was decorated in hundreds of little octagons. Third largest self-supporting cupola in the world, only St. Peter's and the Taj Mahal are larger. He heard what he perceived to be a beautiful woman's voice say. As he lowered his eyes, his suspicions were confirmed. He stared at a tall blonde in a prim blue suit surrounded by a gaggle of tourists. This building contains 327,000 cubic feet of Georgia marble, 15 million bricks, and 1,188 tons of iron beams. Her magnetism overtook him, and he joined the little group of tourists following the angelic guide. The explorer Giovanni di Verrazzano in 1524 likened an island in Narragansett Bay to the Greek island of Rhodes. A number in the group nodded in agreement with the words of the guide, but James could only stare at the long blonde hair swishing from side to side in front of him. She had directed the tour group to a painting of Rhode Island's founder, Roger Williams, on the wall to her right. James didn't notice the painting and just stood staring at the now still blonde tresses in front of him. Zing! James suddenly winced as he felt a sharp pain in his right ear. By reflex, his right hand went up and touched his right earlobe. As he brought it down, he saw a tiny speck of fresh blood on his index finger. The pain was easing as he stared up at the girl and the tourist, now some 100 feet away, gathered in front of another painting. As he looked farther to the right, he saw a tall man in a gray business suit talking to a blonde woman in a white t-shirt and jeans. Her back was to him, and she was tall enough to block the man's face from view. He swung back and looked the other way. All he saw was a slightly overweight guard seated at a desk. The guard appeared to be dozing. He glanced at his Rolex, 3:29. His ear was still stinging, and he dropped the pamphlet he was carrying. He reached down to retrieve it and noticed a few drops of blood on the floor. He reached in his right back pocket for his handkerchief, but felt woozy and decided he'd better stand up. No one would notice those drops of blood on the highly decorated marble floor. He turned slowly and headed for the bathroom to assess the damage to his poor right ear. As he did so, he passed by the counter where books and souvenirs were for sale. The sign on the counter said, "Capital Tours available, $10. Looking to his left, he saw a bunch of travel brochures in a large holder. One in particular caught his eye. He picked it up and stared at a strange-looking stone building. "Would you like to take a tour, sir?" another blonde girl said from behind the counter. He could have sworn it was the same voice he had heard coming from his tour guide. "No, I was just on." He pointed to the tour across the marble floor on the other side of the rotunda. "That tour will be over soon. The next tour is at 4. Would you like to—" He shook his head. "No, I must be going." He pulled out his wallet. "Here is the $10 for the other." "No, no. Can you come back tomorrow? We open at 8 and the first tour is at 10. Is she—" He pointed at the blonde tour guide across the rotunda, still waxing eloquent. "No, I'll be your guide tomorrow. Can you make it at 10? "I'll try," he said rather sheepishly. "Everybody in this place must be Scandinavian," he thought as he finally turned to leave. Suddenly he turned back and held up the brochure he had found. Can you tell me where this place is? He pointed at the strange building on the cover. Oh, that's in Newport, just down the road, she said. Do you need directions? No, I'll find it. Thanks again. He thought, but did not say, what are you doing tonight? If he had looked more closely at her face, he would have realized that the identical thoughts were spinning through her brain. Thanks, he said, and walked toward the exit. As he did so, his hand touched one of the marble columns, and again he felt a sharp sting. He quickly pulled back and noticed a shiny object stuck in the column. He pulled at it, and to his surprise it came free. He slipped it into his pocket and gazed around the rotunda. Everything appeared to be status quo. With one last glance at the three blondes, he turned and walked out of the building into the crisp afternoon air.